Well, we have to fund it as a nation.
Thanks very much, Secretary James. I wonder if I could move from the detailed kit back to the strategic threats that you were talking about in your remarks, particularly the first of them emanating from Russia. I got a question posed by Twitter, a question from Sweden from Mr. Zebulon Karlander, and then I'm going to add a question of my own. His question is, how is the Air Force working with addressing the challenge posed by Russia's deployment of advanced air defense systems around the Black Sea, the Baltic Sea, and the Mediterranean? And my follow-up question has to do with, you spoke of Russia's role in Syria. The cruise missiles that Russia employed in Syria were described by one of my Russian friends as representing a game changer in Russia's ability to project power and willingness to project power. Is this, would you describe it in the same terms as a game changer of Russia now entering a new period of challenging American superiority?
Well, it could well be a game changer. Let me talk Syria first. So this is perhaps the first time in quite some time that the world has seen Russian forces actually operate. And there was a period where I think Russia felt that their own military had fallen into some degree of, I'll say, disrepair, hadn't been modernized, hadn't exercised recently, and so on. In Syria now, they've had some recent combat experience, both from a military perspective as well as from the use of the weaponry. And so I'm certain that they have learned a lot from that, and the world has learned a certain amount from watching them as well. And what you mentioned about activity on the borders of NATO and so on, once again, I put that as my number one, concerns about Russia as my number one, what I consider to be a threat to U.S. Interests. And I mentioned the European Reassurance Initiative, the funding that's going to that. From the Air Force perspective, I will say as a general proposition, we are rotating more forces now into Europe. It's rotational, though, so these forces are not going to be permanently based there, but we're sending some of our most modern aircraft. And all of this we do working with our allies in partnership for the sake of training, interoperability, but it's also a demonstration of our commitment to the region. So these developments are worrisome. We have to keep our eye on the ball, and I think you're going to see ongoing exercises, deployments, and the like on the part of the U.S. Air Force.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary James.